This week on LTC News, many hands make light work for a new church in Chelmsford.
4 days, you can see the amount of work they have done.
A citywide listening tour.
We did see an overall support for more district representation.
And Lowell has pride.
To show them that they have a community that celebrates and appreciates that diversity of human experience.
Stay with us. Welcome to LTC News. I'm your news anchor, Alanna Flood. June 1st was a banner day for the LGBTQ community in Lowell. The city held its first official flag-raising ceremony in honor of Gay Pride Week.
Whatever your background, you are welcome here in the city of Lowell. Today, for the first time, Lowell officially marks the beginning of LGBT Pride Month with the raising of the rainbow flag at Lowell City Hall.
The next day was also the first time Lowell hosted a Gay Pride Parade. It was sponsored by the Greater Lowell Health Alliance and the city. The parade moved down Merrimack Street to a party at JFK Plaza.
We work on a community health needs assessment every 3 years, and in this needs assessment it identified the LGBTQ community as having health disparities. A lot of them seek care and health care all the way in Boston. So this Pride 3 years ago was a way, we started as a way of bringing health resources to the LGBTQ community, and it's just really exploded to this point, so we're really proud.
Well, look, this is, I think, my 25th Pride, and it's still, we see today that it's just still more as important as it always has been, that with LGBTQ rights being rolled back, and not only in the United States, but in state after state, and also on the federal level, and then we're seeing it happen internationally. So for events like this, for my husband Stephen and I to come out and just be together with the community in Lowell and celebrate and talk about the fact that this fight is not over, and also enjoy it along the way. It's just so critically important. So we're thrilled to be part of Lowell Pride today. Yay!
Years ago, you couldn't do this. No one would accept it. Now everybody realizes that's part of life. That's what we are. Don't people realize that if everybody just let everybody else alone, what a beautiful world this could be?
We are a straight couple and we're very much in love, and we have many, many friends in the LGBTQ community, and we just believe that all people deserve to love the people that they love and marry the people that they love and start families with the people that they love.
We're all human, whether we're gay or straight or whatever, varying your religion. No matter what, it all comes down to the fact that we're all human beings, we're all here on one planet, and we really need to just figure out how to all just get along.
Happy Pride! Being a teacher and working with LGBTQ plus students, just the level of acceptance, the level of safety that they feel in the schools is so important. This is necessary. It's necessary to be visible. It's necessary to be out there. It's necessary to be part of the community, to show people we're just like you.
What is shocking to a lot of people when we share this information, that despite undeniable advancements for LGBTQ equality and policy, these statistics relating to LGBTQ youth and homelessness, suicidality, risk behaviors, dropout rates, those are all worsening. So that is why this is so important, is to, especially for the young people, to show them that they have a community that celebrates and appreciates that diversity of human experience.
And really anywhere where there is, bigotry or hatred towards someone, really based out of ignorance. I am no different now this way than I am in any other way. It's just the clothing. It's just fabric. It's a question of what you're doing in the fabric. I'm loving. I am caring. And that's why I do this.
Now that Lowell has started to celebrate Gay Pride, we expect the parade will be an annual event. City Council has started its bi-weekly schedule that runs from June through September. At the June 12th meeting, City Council voted to increase downtown street and garage parking fees starting on July 1st. Hourly parking at the meter will cost $1.50, up from the current $1. Monthly rates for parking in the public garages will increase 33% in the first year, with a 2% increase in subsequent years.
What we've done with this rate proposal is we've reduced the growth in year one to be strictly proportional to the increase in associated with inflation, and in subsequent years would tie increases to the consumer price index, which generally is has been 1% to 2% annually.
The city's capital plan for fiscal years 2019 through 2023 was presented for approval by the council. The focus of the plan is on infrastructure, public safety, and community maintenance projects. Fixing the roof and heating systems at Lowell High is included in the plan, but the city hopes to have the improvements reimbursed by the MSBA when the school designs are completed. Councilor Milanazzo said that the plan is a good one and we need to invest in our infrastructure.
Sure. If you look at the debt service in the budget as a percentage of operating revenue, again, it's considered a warning if you're at 20% of operating revenue from the standpoint of debt service. And our last fiscal year, we were at 2.93%, and we're trending down. So, again, I think it's important to let the viewers know that we can afford to do this capital plan. And if you look at the debt service as a percentage of assessed valuation, the warning percentage is 10%, and we're at 3.17%. So again, trending down. So it's a favorable rating from the agency. So it's important to let our taxpayers know that we can afford to do these very important capital improvements.
The capital plan was approved unanimously. The upcoming fiscal year city budget was also presented for council approval. Although described by a few councilors as being lean, it does show a 3.3% increase from last year. The council approved the budget. There is an active federal lawsuit that alleges that the city's process of electing only at-large city councilors and school committee members underrepresents Lowell's minority residents. The council has responded by holding multiple listening sessions in neighborhoods across the city to determine the community's wishes. Councilor Vesna Noon is leading the effort to gather input.
The idea is that to go out there, listen, to seek input from the community to see how do they feel about the current voting system. What, if any, need to change. They want a representation. They want somebody on the council and the school committee, and they want the workforce diversity as well. And so therefore, they feel that representation is important so that they can really get their message to the City Hall.
We want to do every community.
At the first listening session at the Senior Center in the Acre on May 23rd, participants broke up into small groups to discuss the issues and then reported out to everyone.
A lot of people said that they don't feel like a candidate from the Acre, especially someone with a low-income status and not as many resources. It takes a lot of resources to run for a seat. They feel like they would not have as good of a chance in a citywide election, but they might have more of a chance in a ward or a district representation.
Council doesn't fully reflect the demographics of the city.
If you all look at how the government is reflected, it doesn't reflect the city. So if you have somebody that's representing just your district, you might have a better understanding of the character of their neighborhood.
A lot of people said that they don't currently engage because they don't feel like there are people in power that look like and represent them.
There's too much representation from one neighborhood.
People around the table raise a concern about voter turnout and saying that this influences democracy when you have members of an elite or people more used to the system voting much more proportionately than the others.
It's hard for councilors to serve all neighborhoods.
We did see an overall support for more district representation, probably a mix of at-large and district.
Specifically 7 district representation and 2 at-large.
That the council be very careful of how the lines are drawn. We've seen this in state politics and national politics about gerrymandering. So I would want to suggest that there be a blue ribbon panel of independent people who draw up the districts.
CBA, the acre, you see different because of predominantly minority, Latino and Cambodian, and the Highland, you see a lot of Cambodian, Cambodian American and non-Cambodian. Both communities kind of like share the same feeling about diversity, about the strength of that, and about we want representation on the council, school committee, and on the workforce of the city of Lowell. But Pawtuckaville, you have some Pawtuckaville neighborhood feel strongly that the current voting system is okay because they can reach out, they can talk to all the 9 council.
I personally love how Lowell operates. And one of the reasons I like how it operates is because I've got 9 counselors I can go to for Pawtuckaville. There's 9. I don't have just 1, I have 9. And there've been a lot of issues where of the 9 counselors, we've probably ticked off about 6 of them. But we've had 3 that have known what our issue is. If you have ward representation, you get 1 counselor. And if you don't like them and they don't like you, you're not going to get a voice.
The city councilors hope that residents take advantage of these listening sessions to learn about Lowell's democratic process and to get involved. It's a modern-day barn raising when the Mobile Baptist builders come to a community to build a new church. Each year, the group from Mobile, Alabama, selects a church in need of a new building, recruits volunteers from across the country, and flies in with their tool belts at the ready. On June 1st, they came to Chelmsford to build a new church for the 400-plus member Chinese Bible Church of Greater Lowell.
We've been doing this for 38 years, and we've built churches all over the United States.
We luck out, God's grace that they selected us. So somehow everything lined up, and then we finally, got this project, started.
We pay our own way. We take a week out of our lives, and we come and do something for other people.
Because of the scope of this project is so huge, that there are 2 teams, even coming in 2 weeks' time, they would not be able to finish everything. So that's why we have combination of 2 volunteer teams coming separate time, and then the professional general contractor.
The 135-person crew from Mobile Baptist Builders provides the framing labor free of charge, while the church must raise its own funds for all materials, fees, and other costs.
All the money is from offering from church members.
Building project itself is a leap of faith. We, as leaders, we worry anytime we ask people for money, obviously, and ask people for time, for service, for dedication. And we are asking extra in a way, because not only are we asking people to write a check, we are asking people to go extra step of coming to serve side by side and to open up their homes.
They are being hosted by different church members at their own homes.
The church encouraged us to send the email to the guests, and then we sort of get to know each other, family.
They have to learn how to understand us, talking Southern. We had to understand Chinese, which has been marvelous. We've had an awesome time.
Yeah, and they sacrifice a lot to come here, family, and sacrifice even money, of course. But they sacrifice their vacation time and family time together, come here. So I was so touched.
We eat a lot. We bring our Southern cooks.
We make Chinese food for breakfast.
We bring our own grits.
Local businesses opened their doors to the visiting workers as well. Area restaurants contributed food for the crew, and Lowell YMCA and Choice Fitness in Chelmsford provided some basic comforts.
Come on down, and just open the shower facility to our volunteers for free.
Just 4 days, you can see the amount of work they have done. I mean, it shows you when people come together and work collaboratively, things can move very, very fast.
Right now, with the 2 old buildings, there's no one central sanctuary that can sit all of us together to worship. But with this new facility, we can do that.
We have been so blessed by having the volunteers coming here and working side by side with them to build the house of God.
My brother
Yes, my brother.
It's like a family. It's a ministry. Out of it, we say we get a building built.
The Chinese Bible Church hopes to move in by December 20th and celebrate Christmas in the new building. The church offers services in English, Mandarin, and Cantonese. In this week's Sunspot, Lowell Sun Enterprise editor Chris Scott sits down with State Representative Rady Mom.
Welcome to this week's edition of Sunspot. With me is another candidate for public office in Lowell. It seems that's all we do here on the show now is interview candidates for public office. But we have a familiar face in Lowell, Rady Mom. He's running for the 18th Middlesex District. That's the seat that was formerly held by the former city manager, Kevin Murphy. Rady, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
I appreciate it. This would be your third term if you make it through the Democratic primary on September 4th, right?
That would be my third term, Chris. Yes.
So what do you think about that, having the primary the day after Labor Day?
Well, I know that everyone will be just coming back from vacation. And again, it's all about getting the word out. And I've been doing my part already in terms of meeting the people on a regular basis. Knocking doors again. It's great to meet the people. It really is just wonderful.
I would imagine with that primary the day after Labor Day that it behooves the candidates, and right now there are three others in the race. They really got to get out through the summertime, right? And as you said, knock on doors, buy newspaper advertisements, come on LTC, do Sunspot. So what is your summer going to be like as you fight for re-election?
Well, for me, it's always been the same. Roll up my sleeve, going to work, and meeting the people. It's never stopped. So it's literally 7 days a week anyway, so I don't see anything different with that.
So you're married, you have 4 kids, yes. You're a state rep, and you have a business on the side too, an acupuncture business, right?
Correction, it is therapy, hands-on.
Therapy, hands-on,
no
right?
Needle.
Okay, so I thought you used the needles, but acupressure, okay. So you're a busy guy. When do you have time to campaign? And tell us about your last effort at campaigning. Where were you, and who are some of the people that you met? And what kind of response are you getting from those people?
Oh, I have to say this, and I said, it's all about the people.
You've said that, I think 4 times now.
I know, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You see, if you work the district, you go see the people, you talk to them, whether they are a small business guy. Every morning you'll see me at Donut Shack. Unfortunately, this week is on vacation. And so,
on Westford Street?
Yes, on Westford Street, but I'm there every day.
What are you doing? You're shaking hands with people as they go in to get their donuts and coffee?
Course. Well, it's simple as how's your family, how's school, teachers, the regular kids that go to school. Matter of fact, last month, we had a young man who missed his bus, and he was in there, and I overheard Maria says, "Oh, this young boy missed the bus." I said, "Well, I can drop him off, but please call his mom that I'm going to drop him off."
So did you take him to school?
I did.
Very nice.
Well, then I just got on the highway, get off to Boston.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can help.
So what are some of the other Highlands Acre, hotspots that you visit to spread your message besides the Donut Shack?
Well, you're talking about the acre. When it comes to the acre, again, right now I know that Mount Vernon is being ripped up and cleaned up. And so again, this is all of having to do with Chapter 90 funding to make sure that our street is safe.
Yeah, but where else do you go though besides the Donut Shack to
Well, here downtown, I
okay.
pretty much visit every week, if you will. We were just in a parade with the fire department, the memorial service.
Oh, the memorial service, yeah.
And of course the cancer walk. So, I'm literally here every day just, since you said that, I was at the club diner with my constituent there just the other day.
So how do you respond to your critics that you're not connected to the district? We talked a little bit about that before we came on camera. And, I'm just saying I hear it anecdotally, to be fair to you. But it's out there. So how do you respond to that?
Well, Chris, I think this is how it's supposed to be. If you're running against someone, you have to make, the other person a monster. But yet the reality still remains the same. I never lose touch of my district. All I care about is education, public safety. And to give that a clear message is that Since I've been on, which was 2015, to date, and again, with the working with City Manager Murphy, we started off in public safety. There's only roughly about 190 plus officer. To date, we have over 250 officers on the street of Lowell. That's public safety. When it comes to education.
And Bill Taylor talked an awful lot about that when he was the superintendent as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me of that. Again, working.
So you're attributing that to increased state funding that that you played a key role in trying to get in getting?
Delegation, and of course me personally stepping up, and because I'm on that committee, Public Safety, Homeland Security. Then of course on education, again, since I've been on to now, the funding has always been increased for education. Can we do better? Yes, we can. And that's all lies in where do we get the funding from. That's the base of all this. Last night, we finally did the environmental bill. It's a long process. It's all about, okay, where do we fit all the budget, make sure that it works for the entire community. So again, with, you got Representative Golden, Representative Angle, we have a great delegation that really work in many different angles. And here we talked about able to bring back funding for our city again, close to $2 million.
When you were first elected, one of your pet projects was the shot spotter.
Yes.
Do I have that?
Yes.
The terminology correct? Where does that stand? Did that were we ever able to realize that, and do we have that in the city now?
We don't have that particular aspect of that one. I think there was another way that we're looking at it. As of to date, I don't know where that is standing. The reason being is that I think it was the funding issue, and there's also another company that got involved. I think our former chief, Ed Davis, was also looking at, no, it was another company also.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it was a totally different, but of course, now we're talking about the body camp and all that. That was kind of where that is.
But that campaign promise of yours, that has not been attained yet?
I would say up to date, no.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And is that a priority of yours if you're reelected?
I would definitely look in it in terms of, I think officer on the street is probably much more important in terms of getting the word out to the community. So in that respect, I would say that probably be a positive when you're talking about an additional officer working there. Definitely the diversity need to be met. That's what my project is right now working with. We have to make sure that we have the diversity of meeting the citizenship that live in our city. As of right now, we don't have that.
You touched on some funding for the streets. You touched on funding for the police department. You mentioned education, but please elaborate on education. What have you done to bring home some bacon in terms of education money here in the city?
Well, if you're talking about the budget for our city just this year alone, better yet, you're talking about $361 million to run the city of Lowell.
That's the complete budget.
Yes.
That's the total city budget, right?
That's right. Again, that was on city council meeting.
Yes.
And, as of now, just the budget to run the city alone is 80%. That's from the state. That's not accidental. Now, this is between, again, when you're talking about working in unison with the community, with elected official. Again, Rep. Golden Angle, you have to come together to make this funding possible.
But let me ask you, gateway cities like Lowell rely on state aid.
Yes.
Lowell's not the only city. Is it fair to say that the state delegation is responsible for bringing home that funding, or is it going to come anyway?
Well,
and I'm not trying to pick on you guys, but Lawrence, Haverhill, all the gateway cities get the dough. Aren't they going to get it anyway, whether you guys are there or not?
Well, you make a pretty good argument, but if that's the case, why isn't the road bridge done? Why isn't, how is it?
I was going to ask you about that.
So, I mean, the reality still remain. You have to have that individual that come together and make sure that the funding, there's no accidental, Chris. When look outside the window, you see the courthouse going up. That's what, just yesterday?
It's pretty impressive.
Exactly. That's $200 million project. Now, granted, it wasn't a snap overnight. That was the, Representative Murphy, and of course Senator Donahue and all of them. That's 14 and a half years to get. Now, I had a small part to play in that, but I remember meeting with the whole delegation with Mass DOT and putting the final blow on that. And again, if you talked about not having the connection, if we didn't have the connection to the governor's office and doing that work, that would never happen.
Well, yeah, it didn't happen under Deval Patrick, and
Exactly.
it seemed to accelerate under Governor Baker.
Yeah.
You mentioned another project of yours earlier, the Rourke Bridge.
Yes.
What is the deal with the Rourke Bridge, the temporary bridge?
Well, Chris,
there was an announcement, I think, about a month or so ago, right?
Yes,
that
yes.
you played a role in.
Yes, yeah. Well, since day one, I remember going through the Rourke Bridge, which we all do. And as you mentioned, a temporary Rourke Bridge for 30 years. Now, I know for a fact that when they said the bridge is safe, it is safe. It's not crumbling, it's not falling down, it is safe.
It
But-
was closed overnight last night, by the way, just so you know. But I think that was
I'm
just
sorry, I
for
didn't get a
resurfacing.
chance to go
No, that's
over
okay.
it. But when I talked to the LLC school, which is built right next to the Rourke Bridge, and when the teacher says, you know, just the other day, I brought 20 of my students on a field trip and we have to walk across that bridge. Just to let you know, I'm a teacher, but the fact that I was nervous, but I did not show it because I had to walk my student across the bridge to show them
We
signs.
have 2 minutes left, yep.
So therefore she goes, I'm scared. I goes, I get it. I definitely don't walk across it.
Well, why was she frightened? Was it shaking? Was it
is
rattling?
shaking. Yes, it is. But you know that it's caged over.
Yes, yes.
So
The
you're a
walkway.
biker. Do you bike across that? You can't, because you'll hit a pedestrian because it's so narrow.
So when do you think the city of Lowell and the surrounding towns, particularly North Chelmsford, you know, close to that bridge, when will that bridge be replaced?
Long story short, again, Chris, since we have 2 minutes left, I brought the Speaker of the House to walk that bridge. He's seen it single-handed, first-hand experience. And just a couple of weeks ago, he came to my event.
I know he did. We had a photograph in the Sunday political column.
Thank you. And we got the design phase, Chris. Now, I wish that that could come a little bit quicker, but again, it takes process. And I will continue to do so. When you bring, you know, the fire chief, the police chief, and Manager Murphy down with the entire delegation, with the ambulance, they're all talking to Mass DOT directly, not from me, from all the experts who know safety. When the fire chief, I cannot bring my truck across this bridge because it's a weight limit.
Okay, we have 30 seconds. Why should voters of the 18th Middlesex District return you to the State House for another 2-year term?
Thank you, Chris. It's an honor to serve the 18th Middlesex District, which is the Acre, the Highland. My job is first and foremost is right here. That is public safety, education. I will continue to be your representative. I speak on behalf of you every day. It is an honor to serve you, to fight for you every day. That's what it takes. I would appreciate that you return me back so I will continue to fight and bring back the funding, the resource that's needed for our city and our community. And thank you.
Thank you, Rady. There you have it, straight out of the mouth of Rady Mom, a candidate for re-election to the 18th Middlesex District, which I must add is one of the more interesting state legislative races in the area this fall. I think we're going to be seeing more from Rady and more on this race. Rady, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Sunspot. We'll be back next week and we'll see who else is on the ballot or who else remains on this ballot. Good night, everyone.
That's it for this edition of LTC News. You can find us on LTC channels 899, online at ltc.org, or get the link on Facebook. I'm Alanna Flood. Thanks for joining us.